We are going to be joined by an expert to help us unpick the situation in Georgia. Mr. Grigol Julukhidze is director of the Foreign Policy Council. Mr. Julukhidze, welcome to TVP World. Thanks for taking the time. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Now
here.
I hear you. Perfect. Thank you for that. Right. So talk us through it, please, Mr. Julukhidze, about what the demonstrations are, what the people are getting so upset about with this new law.
This is the law that isolates Georgia from the West, first of all, because that's a red line. That's the law which will enable the government to eliminate all those media outlets and non-governmental organizations according to their political preferences. And at the same time, it is the preparation for the upcoming parliamentary elections. If this draft bill is fully adopted, it will mean that the parliamentary elections will have more procedural character than practical meaning. Apart from that, the Georgian government, the ruling party, both have been warned by strategic allies of Georgia from the United States of America to the European Union that if such kind of legislative initiative becomes law, it will mean the end of Georgia's European and most likely Euro-Atlantic aspirations. Apart from that, it poses a direct threat to the national achievement of Georgians, which is the EU candidate status and the visa-free regime with the European Union. But unfortunately, as we see, there is something which is more, let's say, scary for the ruling party and Mr. Bidzina Ivanishvili than the Western sanctions and the geopolitical isolation of Georgia. Most likely, this is Russia.
So now you've mentioned the ruling party. Now, what steps has the government taken in response to these protests, and what actions have they taken regarding this proposed legislation?
First of all, they say that this is the European style law. They compare this law with the FARA, American, let's say, registry of foreign agents, but there are fundamental differences. For example, the Georgian version of this legislative initiative controls media, non-governmental organizations. The key point is the following. If an organization gets more than 20% of the funding from external sources, it will be defined as the foreign agent, which has a quite negative meaning in Georgia, which in reality means you're a spy, and the government has all the necessary tools to suspend your activities. And it does not matter what you do and from which source you get money. For example, if you're financed by the Polish government and you implement projects dedicated to the empowerment of women in the region, you have to be defined and registered as the foreign agent. And when we talk about the Russian money, the vast majority of the Russian funds come with the cash, which cannot be tracked. As for the reaction of the Georgian government, it is the following. This is European law. We are moving towards Europe. They do not hear any, let's say, arguments and the critics from the European Union, including Chancellor Scholz. They keep following this narrative. And today they are going to organize a pro-governmental rally. And the vast majority of the workers of state agencies have been mobilized in the capital city forcibly and brought to the capital in order to demonstrate somehow that this law is supported.
Right. Where are we in terms of the law actually taking force, taking effect? And is there a presidential veto possible?
Today there is the second hearing of the law. It will be voted in favor by the ruling team. Then the third hearing is planned for May 17. And once this law is adopted, then President Zurabishvili will veto it. But the ruling team has the mechanisms to overcome this veto. And the only thing that this veto will do is gaining more time. And it will give more time to the opposition to mobilize the Georgian society. But there is a huge problem. Yes, there is a mass protest. Georgians, which are extremely pro-Western, let's say, society, quite understand the risks and potential threats of this law. This protest is growing. For example, yesterday there were 110,000 Georgians on the main avenue of city, which is a great number for the country, which has a population up to 3.5 million. But the biggest problem is the lack and the absence of political powers that will translate this and convert this mass protest into political change. And the government understands that quite well and benefits from the importance of the opposition flank.
All right. Well, like you mentioned, thousands of people there on those streets. And of course, so we do hope that the government will take notice and then, of course, change its course of action. Mr. Grigol Julukhidze, Director, Foreign Policy Council, thank you very much for speaking to us here on TVP World today.
Thank you.
Thank you.